In 2007, Seoul and Washington signed a bilateral trade pact which went into effect in 2012. More than half a decade on, the two sides are set to hold a third round of talks for a possible amendment of that deal. Kim Hyesung sheds light on the impact of the FTA thus far, as well as the possible changes to come.
It's been exactly 6 years since the Korea-U.S. Free Trade Agreement entered into force on March 15, 2012. Annual trade between Seoul and Washington has grown by an average of 2.8% over the last 6 years. According to South Korea's trade ministry, bilateral trade amounted to $119.3 billion, up nearly 9% on year. The U.S. remains South Korea's second largest exporting country after China, accounting for over 11% of the country's total trade last year, led by petrochemical goods, vehicles, and steel pipes. South Korea is the United States' sixth largest trading partner. Imports from the U.S. amounted to $50.7 billion in 2017, led by goods like semiconductor manufacturing equipment, LPG, and meat. Korea's trade surplus with the U.S. increased in the first 4 years of the FTA, but started to decrease from 2016. Last year, Korea's trade surplus slumped by over 23% on year.
The free trade deal has been mutually beneficial. It helped South Korea enter the world's largest consumer market. Both countries' consumers were able to enjoy a variety of goods that are also cheaper. The U.S. benefited from services trade with Korea, especially in intellectual property, not to mention Korean companies' investments in the U.S.
Services trade between the two countries came to $43.2 billion in 2016, with Korea seeing a service trade deficit of nearly $14 billion. But with President Trump threatening to revise or withdraw from the FTA, complaining about America's deficit, the two countries launched talks earlier this year about a possible amendment to the deal. The third round of talks is scheduled to be held in Washington on Thursday local time. Seoul's trade ministry said Yoo Myung-hee, the director general for FTA negotiations, will be negotiating with our U.S. counterpart, Assistant U.S. Trade Representative Michael Beeman. The two sides are expected to further discuss issues raised during their previous meetings like anti-dumping tariffs, auto exports, and investor-state dispute settlements, and also the Trump administration's steel tariffs, which are scheduled to go into effect on March 23rd. Kim Hyesung, Arirang News.